Hey guys, how are you doing? This is a new series creating Naruto comics in Naruto world. Akaban was graduated from the University of Arts and Design in the 21st century, then suddenly traversed into the Naruto's world. By bringing my knowledge of arts and my love of Naruto comic, I decided to recreate Naruto comic here. So let's start the series. Chapter 1, Where the Legend Begin, edited. Editor, BT. At the Ninja Academy of Konoha. In the back row of the classroom, Akaban was engrossed by his drawing. He drew lines and words on the back of his textbook. After a while, he finally finished. It was a short panel of comics that he drew. He felt satisfied. Hey, Akaban-kun. Let me see your drawing. Let me see it, said the white-haired classmate of his excitedly. Don't bother him, let him be. As another of his classmates intervened. Oh, Akaban, are you listening? The white-haired boy shouted at him again. Akaban gave no response. Stop it, I said. If you disturb him again, I will beat you to the pulp, Jiraiya. His classmate shouted back at the top of his lungs. As Jiraiya finished speaking, several boys around them quickly made a fuss. Unexpectedly, that white-haired boy was punched hard by a girl, thus returning silence to the back of the class. After some time, the first lesson came to an end. Akaban coughed a few times before giving his half-done comic panel to the white-haired boy as he said, Here, take a look, I'm going to take a nap now. Suddenly, Akaban coughed violently again. Akaban, your body is pretty weak. You need to rest more so that you're able to draw better in the future, said Jiraiya. As Akaban reached out to take back the sketch from Jiraiya, someone else snatched it from the white-haired boy. That someone is the class bully. Ha ha ha, this drawing is stupid, the bully said. The class erupted in laughter at the snide remark. Akaban leaned his back against the wall as he tried to catch his breath. In front of him, a translucent panel emerged. Name, Akaban Kurama. Ninja class, Academy student. Physical strength, 3+. Chakra strength, 34+. Main chakra attribute, Yin. Equipment, pen, drawing board. Ninjutsu, none. Points, 27. After working so hard to finish one chapter, I only got such a small amount of points. Half a month ago, he graduated from the University of Arts and Design in the 21st century. He dreamed of becoming a famous illustrator but was suddenly transmigrated into the Naruto world. Sorry Truck-kun, not this time. 3. Trapped in a child's body. The system was activated as he was drawing comics and he gained points by letting people read them. It's already been half a month, yet he only managed to save 27 points. Akaban couldn't help but be pessimistic about his situation. There is no way he could actualize his dreams here, trapped in a child's body. Comic. He would be lucky to find a scroll with pictures. He had his work cut out for him before comics reached the level of his original world here. Fortunately, he arrived after the first ninja war. From what he could remember from Naruto, there was a short, but peaceful period that followed after the war. But long enough for Akaban to develop his skills at ease. But, that being said, with such a weak physique as his, he couldn't help but complain about his clan. The main trait of the Kurama clan is their potent chakra. But it came at the cost of their physique. While he did indeed possess a slightly above average chakra, that was outweighed by his abysmal physical attributes. To put it simply, he was just like Superman without his superpowers. Fortunately, with some points, he can use the system's ability to awaken 5 senses control. 5 senses control. The blood inheritance limit of the Kurama clan requires 30 points to be awakened. Because of the cost of awakening 5 senses control, he had been reluctant to spend points up until now. Hey, there is new ninjutsu on the exchange list. He just opened the list and immediately found that there were many types of ninjutsu that he did not have before. Transformation Jutsu, D-level ninjutsu requires 5 points. Clone Jutsu, D-level ninjutsu requires 5 points. Substitution Jutsu, D-level ninjutsu, requires 5 points. Harem no Jutsu, modified from the Transformation Jutsu and requires 5 points. Shadow Clone Jutsu, level B ninjutsu requires 100 points. If I remember correctly, this jutsu seemed to have appeared in the first chapter of Naruto. Could it be that the ninjutsu appearing in my system is the same one? Yes. Akaban just finished his first chapter of Naruto. He likes Naruto to the point he can roughly recreate it from memory. For an art student like him, imitating manga is easy. At first, he just wanted to try to see if his drawing could activate the 5 senses control of the Kurama clan, but he accidentally awakened the system. For him, the system is no different than offering help when he needs it the most, but the question is, why is he drawing Naruto? I am in the Naruto world. What other reason is needed? Fortunately, most characters in the early days of the comic are far from being born. No one would think that the manga would tell the future. Everyone thinks it's just a story made by a child. Akaban, your story is so amazing. Ha ha ha, Naruto is so funny, who is that? Is this the future? That's right, in everyone's eyes, these are nothing but fantasy in Akaban's head. Including his teacher Arata Sarutabi. Akaban, I do appreciate your passion for the arts, but pay more attention in class. As soon as the teacher entered the class, those boys ran away to their chairs. He has scolded his student since the beginning of the year. Well, he only started scolding Akaban recently. I understand, sensei, I will pay more attention. Akaban smiled awkwardly. Well, it's almost time for class. Give me your drawing, I'll return it to you after school. With that said, Arata-sensei took away Akaban's comic. But sensei, I was just about to see it. The girl who was just handed the comic pouted, her eyes were watery, almost on the verge of crying. The girl has blonde hair and red eyes and looks very cute, but her identity is scary. It was the village's princess, Tsunade Senju. Tsunade, I only take it for a while, and I will give it to you after class. Arata smiled, as he took the sketch and returned to the podium, officially starting class. Curious, the teacher began reading the manga. Akaban observed that his points had risen a bit. But this is weird. Didn't I gain points slower than this before? Not only that. After a few minutes, he gained another 2 points. After Arata finished reading the first chapter, Akaban's total points had reached 31 points. Crunching the numbers, Akaban realized that he gets 5 points when Arata reads the first chapter. Does it mean the higher the ninja level, the more points it gives, he thought. Akaban stared at the panel, thinking. I need to try it out after school. The Kurama clan has not produced promising young blood for many years, but they have pretty strong members. If my theory is correct, then how many points can I get by giving the comic to the whole family? I'm a genius. It's already time to start the class, but Arata didn't seem to realize it. He was completely addicted to the comic, as he sat there enjoyingly, and then he turned to the first page again and began to look. His students were trying to take a peek, especially Tsunade, which showed a full of envy with her cute little face. Realizing half of the minute has passed since the schedule, Arata-sensei suddenly snapped out, "Oh shoot! It's time to start the class. Now, I could get my first skill. Should I exchange it now?" Akaban hesitated. After thinking about it for a moment, Akaban couldn't resist it, and exchanged it for 5 cents control. 30-point reduction. The point exchange success awakened the 5 cents control. The system notified him of his exchange. After the exchange was successful, Akaban opened his eyes. He felt that his vision was still blurry, so he decided to take it slow. He also felt that his body became even more fragile. Even so, he felt his awareness of the surroundings become sharper and clearer. At this moment, he could perceive his surroundings even when his eyes were closed. Of course, Akaban knew that he hadn't reached that stage yet. This was just the illusion that appeared when his bloodline limit had been awakened. After a few seconds, this irregularity gradually disappeared. He opened his eyes again as he looked around. Other than him, no one seemed to notice the change. After all, he slept earlier in class. Everyone understands the circumstances around his weak physique. His eyes focused on the paper as he picked up the pen and began drawing again. In a few seconds, he drew Jiraiya's portrait on the paper. Then on the other side of the paper, he quickly drew another image. He drew a hand near Jiraiya's head and finished it with an exclamation, "Slap!" as soon as the tip of the pen left the paper. Slap! The real Jiraiya uttered a pain, "Ouch!" He shouted in pain as he was covering his head, stared at Tsunade angrily. "Tsunade, was that you? What are you talking about?" Tsunade is too lazy to care about him. If she wanted to beat him, she didn't need to be sneaky at all. "That means it's you, sneaky snake bastard." Jiraiya also turned to look at the back table. "You are indeed a fool." Orochimaru sneered, then looked at Akaban thoughtfully. He saw it. No one is doing anything from the beginning, so it could be he was only imagining things. The genjutsu that can make people feel pain is the signature move of the Kurama clan. They can use their Keki Genkai to control the 5 senses. With the control of the 5 senses ability, it can even turn imaginary into a real thing. Orochimaru could not help but show envy towards that ninjutsu. "The next person to interrupt me will wait outside of the classroom." Arata scolded, but his eyes glanced at Akaban quietly. Jiraiya also rubbed his head and looked around trying to find the culprit. Akaban pretended not to have anything to do with him, but he couldn't help but felt excited. With the 5 senses control finally, it seemed that all his efforts were not in vain. Looking at his attributes, he saw something that surprised him. Name, Akaban Kurama. Ninja level, Academy student. Physique, 3+. Mental power, 48+. Main chakra attribute, Yin. Equipment, pen, drawing board. Ninjutsu, 1, 5 senses control. Points, 1. What surprised him was not his new ninjutsu, but that his chakra had risen instantly rose by 14 points. If Jiraiya knew, he would be jealous. How troublesome. Akaban rubbed his temples. The higher the chakra, the greater the strain it put upon his weak body. After he awakened his Keki Genkai, he felt more tired. This was partly due to his instant increase in chakra. It seems that I must first increase my physique. Akaban reached out and tapped the plus, and immediately, a prompt appeared. Exchanging 1 point of the physique will consume 1 point. Accept. Exchanging 1 point of mental power will consume 10 points. Accept. It seems that as my stats increase, the cost it takes to upgrade does as well. Akaban shook his head regretfully and exchanged 1 point for his body. Accept. 1 point consumed. Physique rose to 5. However, Akaban did not feel anything, which proves that his chakra is still far beyond his current body limit. Unfortunately, there are no points left. Originally he also wanted to save and use points for clone jutsu. It seems that to earn more points, he needs to work harder. After all, there is the more precious shadow clone jutsu on the list too. The ninjutsu requires 100 points. With the help of shadow clone jutsu, he can divide the work to make his comic, giving him more time to sleep and recover. The perfect plan for a lazy person like him. This is the life that the traverser should have. Well, I must force my clan to read my comics when I go back, ah ha ha ha. To gain more points, forcing everyone is needed. Akaban thought about the future, and the more he thought, the more excited he became. After a while, class was over. Arata-sensei kept his promise and returned the comic to Tsunade. He didn't dare to make her upset. Tsunade placed it on the table and then read the first chapter intensely. The other classmates might need to fight for their turn. Just after she finished reading it, the comic was quickly swiped. The culprit was Jiraiya, but he continued to act innocently. As they read it one by one, the amount of points slowly increased. Of course, the most important thing was that even Jiraiya had grabbed it, which meant this manga is very engaging. Akaban's classmates bullied him before for being weak and for only drawing comics, but now they all but mobbed him for the chance to read his manga. But this was needed. I'm sorry, Hokage-sama, but I might have damaged the future ninja of Konoha. Akaban couldn't help but shed crocodile tears and added the points he got to his system. Now, he already has 5 points on his physique. Even if it wasn't a huge change, he could already feel a slight improvement in his body. He needs to work harder to get a better physique. As Akaban took the comic and prepared to go home, several classmates immediately surrounded him. Of course, these children will be the strongest ninja from this era. The 3 legendary Chunin. The White Fang. Alongside them was also Hibiki Yuhai, the father of Kuinai Yuhai, the 3rd Hokage son, and so on. Naruto Uzumaki is from Mito-sama clan. I can't imagine that I will be growing up with this great ninja generation. His classmates asked him an endless question. Akaban kept smiling and ignored them. Before crossing, he looked in awe and admiration for his classmates. But after that, Akaban found that these people were just children. With a comic system, he could reach the same level as these people in the future and even better. Damn, Akaban, answer my question. Seeing that the boy didn't respond for a long time, Tsunade quickly stepped forward to block his way, and said with a sulky voice, HMPH. Such an interesting person. She was the perfect combination of cute and terrifying that made him want to continue teasing her. But with only 5 points from his physique, Tsunade's anger was not something his fragile body could handle. So for the sake of preserving his own life, Akaban decided to reveal something and appeased the little girl with a friendly tone. The characters in the comic are all my imagination, but Naruto Uzumaki indeed come from the family of Mito-sama? Part of this answer was to please her, and the other part was to tell the adults that these things are just his fantasy and speculation, that it was nothing but make-believe. It was long before the timeline for the manga began, and Akaban's excuse just made them more convinced that this is just a manga story. Sure enough, I know it. Tsunade proudly said, that was a lot of shadow clones to produce in his age. The only one who can do it has to come from Uzumaki clan. At the Hokage office, Hiruzen wondered and sighed, it is indeed an interesting story, the future of Konoha. His aging look in Akaban's comics didn't give him any negative impression. Birth and death are the processes of life. But the future Konoha stirred his mind. Will there be peace in the future? The third Hokage knew that the tranquility of the five great powers at the moment was just because they had to recover from the recent loss. In a few years in the future, whatever the reason, the war will continue. No matter who wins, war means death on both sides. He's a smart and interesting child, also it seems he has awakened his Keki Genkai, but with the current traits of Kurama clan. As Hiruzen continued to talk to himself, the paper before him showed 3 slots under his name, with the names of Tsunade and Orochimaru already filled in. The third name has not been decided. Akaban naturally did not know that the list from Hiruzen will be taking part in his future. He took the first chapter, and returned to his home, immediately forcing everyone to read his comic. Father, Mother, this is the story I drew, please take a look at it. Akaban was handing the drawing, like a kid asking for money. His father is Izumu Kurama, who is a particularly high-rank ninja in Konoha, and his mother, Kiko Kurama, is the clan's mediator. If his previous theory is correct, both of his parents can contribute a lot of points. Okay, let me see what my beloved son drew. Kurama Kiko chuckled and took over the comic from Akaban, ha ha ha, Naruto. Does Akaban want to be Naruto? Of course, Naruto is a role model to me, Akaban responded. Hey, isn't that the third Hokage? His mother glanced and was immediately attracted by the character in his comic. To be honest, his parents took notice of one of the characters, since Akaban's drawing is good, and the clothes identification of the characters is enough to make people easily notice some familiar faces. It's a very interesting story. Look at the Hokage statue. Ha ha ha. How dare he damage the Hokage's monument, what a savage kid. Both husband and wife have different concerns, but the similarity is that they quickly immersed themselves in the story. Akaban nodded in satisfaction. The audience of Naruto were not only children but also adults in his previous world. At the same time, he called up the system panel to check his current points, but his score shocked him. Points, 58. Why do I have so many points? The system has no record of points, so naturally, no details of these 58 points can be seen. He recalled carefully that no one had read his comic since the class finished, so it could only be. But then he thought about it again. He couldn't get these many points so quickly even if it was read by the elders, but if it's the Hokage then it's feasible. Akaban guessed that 50 of the 58 points should be contributed by the third Hokage, while the rest were contributed by his parents or his classmates. In the end, his father contributed 15 points, while his mother contributed 5 points, exactly as he guessed. At this time, Akaban already had a total of 71 points. 71 points is enough to exchange for lots of ninjutsu. For example, redeeming more physique points to free him from his weak body. Akaban looked at his parents, they seemed to be drowned in thoughts after reading the last page. I have to say, your Naruto comic is very interesting. But the real ninja is not as simple as you imagine. His father's face was a little bit weird, but he immediately showed a cold face. He was referring to the story of Naruto stealing the scrolls of seals. In the eyes of ninjas like them, the third Hokage is very wise, and he can't make such a mistake. Of course, it's only my first comic, and I am just a kid. Akaban didn't complain. His age and childishness are his best shields. But still, the story is very interesting. You have a lot of cousins in the Kurama clan. Would you like for me to share this with them? Kurama Kiko smiles gently. Of course. Akaban jumps out of excitement. By doing this, I can get more points. By the way, father, I seem to have awakened our clan Kekii Genkai. Akaban managed to promote the comics, and timely threw out the matter that he had awakened Kekii Genkai. What did you just say? Izumu was baffled and looked at Akaban with a questioning look. And his mother, Kiko, was equally surprised. Everyone in the Kurama clan had a very high genjutsu talent, but not everyone can awaken the clan's Kekii Genkai, only a few manage to do it, and it seems that their son is one of those special ones. Like Izumu, although he had a high position in their clan, he has not awakened. If Akaban awakened Kekii Genkai, that would be big news for the entire clan. When I was drawing, I felt that there was a change in my body. When I finished drawing my comic today, this feeling became clearer. As Akaban said, he picked up his pen and started drawing on paper. He drew his mother's portrait. Subsequently, filled its background with a grassland. His mother didn't believe it at first. The next second, her husband and son disappeared, and the surrounding environment suddenly turned into a grassland. After a while, her husband joined her. They both looked confused. With the touch of wind, floral fragrance, and the bright sun, everything looked extremely real. It's true. This is Kekii Genkai. The next second, the illusion shattered. Akaban put down the pen and took a few breaths in satisfaction, but in fact, he didn't feel it was a hard thing to do. The 48 points of chakra made him more competent in manipulating the environment around him. Even if the target has strong chakra, without a high rank resistance, his genjutsu is invincible. Akaban, I am so surprised, I don't know what to say. His father's expression was excited and nervous at the same time. It's no wonder that you have been born with a weak body. It turns out that you have our clan's inheritance. His mother's tears were about to fall. She had always thought that her child was weak and could not be a proper ninja, but she did not expect him to be someone extraordinary. This is too unexpected. I'm going to tell everyone. This will be big news. Before long, the entire clan knew that the son of Kurama Izumu is a Kekii Genkai user. During the First Ninja World War, it was only a normal thing to awaken Kekii Genkai. At that time, the Kurama clan was at its golden age. But now, there are only a few awakened people in their new generation. In Akaban's generation, he was the first to awaken. Before long, several elders of their clan took a visit. Murano-san, look at my son. His father paid respect to Murano as the head of the Kurama clan. This child is the one who awakened our clan Kekii Genkai. Kurama's patriarch asked doubtfully. Yes, we have experienced it. This is indeed the control of 5 senses, replied his father with confidence. The rest looked at each other in confusion. After all, the Kurama clan has no current precedent. I'll take a look. Murano Kurama is the oldest and well-respected figure in the Kurama clan. He has experienced the whole process from the clan joining Konoha to the end of the First World War. No one knows better than him if it's about Kurama's Kekii Genkai. With the help of others, Murano walked tremblingly towards Akaban. "Grandpa." Akaban bowed respectfully. Murano nodded excitedly, stretched out his hand, and said, "My child, we want to test your talent in genjutsu, try to use it on me." "Grandpa, I don't know how to use genjutsu. I just like to draw," Akaban responded. He hasn't learned any genjutsu so far, and he didn't have time to practice drawing. Everyone looked at each other and finally said unanimously, "Just give it a try." "All right." Akaban nodded and immediately began to draw. If he had known genjutsu, he wouldn't have to be in so much trouble, so while drawing, he thought and resolved himself to learn some genjutsu. After more than a minute, the drawing was completed. Murano was in it, and he was immediately affected by the ninjutsu. While the patriarch and others were surprised, his parents couldn't help but feel nervous. Any awakened person is the hope of the clan, but although the Kekii Genkai of the Kurama clan is strong, it is still a genjutsu. It needs strong chakra to make use of its full potential. After a few minutes, Akaban stopped. Then Murano broke free from Akaban's genjutsu while panting and sweating. "Murano-san, are you okay?" His father's face changed suddenly, and he felt uneasy. "Sit down and take a rest first." The patriarch helped him to sit down, and even Akaban couldn't help feeling a bit worried about the situation. Did he accidentally hurt his elder? It would be bad for the family's reputation if everyone knew that some kid could hurt the head of the clan. "No, it's okay, I'm fine." Kurama Murano was pleasantly surprised. He looks at Akaban with newfound hope. After taking a few breaths, he said, "Akaban's talent is indeed legitimate. At such a young age, his chakra is slightly lower than mine." Slightly lower than Murano. Akaban estimated that Grandpa Murano's chakra should be around 50. So, there is a tenfold difference between his chakra and physique. This gives Akaban a hint of his clan's trait. At such a young age, his chakra can be compared to Murano-san's. This is it. Our new clan successor. The patriarch and several clan elders were pleasantly surprised. Some of them even cried in joy. "Genius! Our clan's future is now secure." They gathered to cheer on Akaban. With his talent at such a young age, he can be trained to improve his genjutsu even more. Given enough time, becoming a top-tier genjutsu was just a question of when. "Akaban, you do have strong chakra, but with your current body, you need to train harder from now on," Murano said. "I'll do it, Grandpa, but can I ask for something?" Akaban asked. "What is it, Akaban?" Murano responded curiously. "I like drawing comics. Here, look at the first chapter that I drew." Akaban showed his comic to Grandpa Murano and the other elders. "What is this?" Murano took the comic in confusion and tried to read a few pages. His eyes widened before laughing. "This is an interesting story. Because I find this amusing, I shall 50 copies of this and send it to every member of our clan." Murano would be more than happy to help his grandson for printing his first comic, even if he wasn't someone talented. "It's a deal then." Akaban excitedly accepted. Everyone cheered up. Akaban's talent is outstanding. From then on, he became the face of the Kurama clan. the entire clan would begin to devote more resources toward his progress. Reading his comic is a small matter for them. This was the advantages of being a genius. With the amount of people in the Kurama clan, letting them read his comic will increase his points significantly. Jackpot! It would be easy now for him to exchange for stronger jutsu such as Shadow Clone Jutsu in a few days. Akaban, please take care of your body. Aren't you a good boy, Akaban-chan? You'll be our clan's pride. It's amazing to have awakened Kekii Genkai at such a young age. The clan patriarch and other clan members couldn't stop their praise and gratitude for Akaban. The next day in the morning, Akaban set off to the academy. When along the way, he received greetings from everyone he met. He just replied with a smile. It's just human nature. Before, they wouldn't even care for his existence. But now, they had no choice but to acknowledge his strength. On the way to the academy, he took the time to look at his attributes. System. Name, Akaban Kurama. Ninja level, Academy student. Physique, 10+. Chakra, 50+. Main chakra attribute, Yin. Equipment, illustration pen, illustration board. Ninjutsu, 1. The control of 5 senses, 2. Transformation jutsu, 3. Clone jutsu. Points, 48. Last night, Akaban improved his physique by 5 points, and his chakra by 2 points. This included the transformation and clone jutsu. It cost him a total of 40 points, but suddenly his points were raised by 17. A clan member most likely was reading his comic right now. Closing the panel, Akaban started running in order to make it to class. In fact, by the time he arrived, class had already started. I'm sorry sensei for being late. Akaban simply apologized without any explanation. Arata reluctantly instructs Akaban to just go to his seat. Akaban has been late for some days, and Arata can understand it might be because of his weak body. Akaban smiled and walked to his seat. But, hey, why are you next to me? He used to sit at the corner. Originally, it should be Shimi from the Nara clan that sat next to him. But now he was sent to be with Jiraiya, and Tsunade moved next to Akaban. Shimi wanted to change positions with me. Being so nice, I graciously accepted his request. Tsunade proudly proclaimed. Akaban looked towards Shimi as he walked towards his seat. Shimi looked back with a helpless smile. It appeared that what Tsunade said may just not be the case. Akaban sat down, ready to take a nap. The curriculum at the Ninja Academy was fairly easy. Moreover, because he already learned transformation jutsu and clone jutsu, the graduation exam would be a breeze for him. Ninjas are not like students from his original world, where one completed primary and secondary school with the option of continuing on to a tertiary education. As a previous 21st century college student, he was familiar with the education system. But just as he was about to take a nap, he noticed Tsunade was handing him pen and paper. With a cute and innocent smile, she said, Hey, Akaban, you must be forgetting your drawing tools, here I got this for you. Akaban looked at the pen and paper in his hand with a dazed expression. Yes, take it. I want to see the next chapter of your comic. The other students were lurking around expectantly with their expectant eyes. Akaban was speechless. This is the request from the Princess Tsunade. There is no way he could reject it. Fine. Akaban accepted his fate and started drawing. Tsunade whispered excitedly while slightly pumping her fist in the air. Tsunade watched Akaban drawing so intensely as if she was trying to memorize every little thing he wrote and drew. It is a bit creepy, to be honest, but how could he complain? At this moment. Hey, you two at the back, don't get distracted during class, we will have an exam after this, take it seriously or you'll be forced to take remedial lessons. Arata, who took notice of Akaban and Tsunade, berated them. Many students in the front row turned around to see what was going on. Yes sensei, we're sorry. Akaban gladly put down his pen. Arata talked about the main points of ninjutsu that a ninja must master for their graduation exam. Humph. I have learned all of it. Tsunade was a little upset. But since it's her uncle who asked her to be here, she had no choice but to pay attention in the class. In this class, except for Jiraiya and Orochimaru, the rest are people from various Konoha clans. Tsunade is a genius. Normally, as long as you pay attention to the class and practice it every day, one could smoothly expect to graduate from the academy. But that didn't apply to her. She is a well-known granddaughter of the first Hokage, that is why everyone called her princess with such great bloodline within her family. Whether it's ninjutsu or physique, she mastered it in no time. I don't study much at home, so I have to listen carefully. I can always draw the comics later. Akaban drew a few more strokes before leaning back in his chair to focus on Arata-sensei. As the class continued, some students still didn't pay much attention to it. Some slept, including Akaban. The use of transformation jutsu is versatile. It can be used for sneaking or disguising. For example, in combat, the Inuzuka clan's dogs actually use the transformation jutsu as well. There are also clone jutsu, substitute jutsu, and many more. Arata-sensei kept explaining the basic ninjutsu to his pupil. Wow! This is indeed interesting. Arata-sensei is finally teaching us the real ninjutsu, cool. Jiraiya weirdly listened to the lesson for the first time. Usually, he couldn't understand any of the theories. No, something is not right. Tsunade frowned confusedly. It's not about the class, but that the knowledge of the three basic ninjutsu that Arata-sensei was explaining was too advanced. To put it simply, much ninjutsu that Arata said, even a Chunin would have a hard time mastering. This is genjutsu. When did it happen? Her face changed, she looked around, and finally, locked her sight at Akaban. Is it Akaban? Tsunade was a little surprised. There is no doubt that this is indeed genjutsu. Therefore, this whole time, it is Akaban's words that sensei was using to teach us. How can it affect all of us? Even if he learned it from the best user, it can't be this powerful. Tsunade was really shocked thinking about this. Akaban was able to explain it clearly when creating the genjutsu because he already mastered all of the three basic ninjutsu. Orochimaru had already noticed Akaban's genjutsu before everyone. The gap between him and Akaban in genjutsu mastery made him jealous since he was always a top student in their class. It bothered him when someone is better than him. But soon, he began to listen intently. After a while, Shimi woke up and looked around. Seeing Tsunade being so serious listening to the class, he immediately understood that his classmates were probably under genjutsu. Akaban, did you use genjutsu? Psst, don't tell anyone. I only used it to help me get some rest from Tsunade and everyone else. He casted a genjutsu where Arata explained all the ninjutsu that he had acquired before, even if it is a jutsu at the Chunin level, It was enough to make his classmates listen to the lesson attentively. However, Shimi managed to wake up and wasn't affected by his genjutsu, which surprised him. Akaban thought it might be because he was sleeping. Arata continued his lesson, but he explained a more general topic. It was hard to teach his students everything at once. Akaban was about to continue his sleep when Orochimaru said, "Akaban-kun, thank you." Akaban froze for a moment, then replied with a smile, "Don't mention it. For Akaban, this is just a small matter. Transformation jutsu combined with clone jutsu is easy for him to master, he only needs to spend 10 points in total to increase its attributes, but in the eyes of someone genius like Orochimaru, this lesson was already valuable information. Knowledge for ninjas such as him is equal to their lives. Tsunade may beat him to a pulp at any second if she can break free from his genjutsu. That's why he tried to maintain his genjutsu carefully. But what he didn't expect was Tsunade breaking out of the genjutsu earlier than he expected. That made him hurriedly cancel the jutsu to save his dear life. Akabani! You bastard! You tried to use your jutsu on me. Sure enough, her roar resounded throughout the whole school. Stop! Tsunade! Arata tried to stop her rampage, but it was too late. Boom! With a loud bang, Akaban's table shattered into pieces. All of his classmates were shocked and were in a panic. Within a few seconds, the entire classroom was a mess. Akaban managed to dodge but almost failed to avoid her point-blank attack. Damn it! He fucked up, didn't he? Even Jiraiya looked pale and scared of her. This is the first time he has seen Tsunade in full rage. Where is Akaban? Did he get killed? Shimi whispered. No, that one was his clone. Akaban used clone jutsu just before Tsunade could land a clear hit on him. Akabani! Come out! I promise to hit you gently. Knowing that she only hit his clone, Tsunade turned to look for Akaban's trail. Tsunade! Stop messing around! Arata hurriedly tried to stop her from making more trouble. But it was... Damn it! He managed to stop her in time. She just hated being fooled by Akaban. Arata wiped his sweat, then looked around, trying to find Akaban. However, he was surprised to notice that he couldn't find Akaban anywhere. Did he use transformation jutsu? How did he manage to use it? Arata was wondering. A ninja such as him couldn't detect the presence of one of his students. After inspecting the whole classroom carefully, he found something strange. There were two brooms, one standing near the wall and the other lying on the ground. One of them must be Akaban. He sighed in relief. Fortunately, Akaban was fine. If not, it might trouble him even more since Tsunade alone was hard to handle. Akaban, come out! Arata-sensei scolded. Fine, fine. Akaban cancelled his transformation jutsu and got up from the ground. In an instant, Arata was surprised. He thought Akaban was the other broom. How could someone like him couldn't distinguish a student's jutsu? Sensei, do I still need to take my transformation exam this afternoon? I can use the time to take a rest at the infirmary. Akaban smiled. Akaban used his jutsu in a hurry to avoid Tsunade. Otherwise, Arata probably couldn't notice him at all. Of course you do. Arata's face was stern, but couldn't lie that he was impressed by Akaban's application of transformation jutsu. It was flawless. Akaban, how did you dodge that? Orochimaru asked. Unlike Hyuga or Uchiha clan, Kurama clan isn't known for its physique. Everyone in the class were speechless. Akaban's comic was indeed popular, but they knew that among the students, his physique was the weakest. In fact, everyone thought before that Akaban might not be able to become a ninja with his weak body. But now everyone acknowledged his true power. Transformation Jutsu, combined with his awakened Kurama clan's Keki-e Genkai, he would be a formidable opponent especially in war. If Akaban manages to improve his talent even more, in future, he might be stronger than the entire class. In the afternoon after the first break is over, it is time for the Transformation Jutsu exam. The first one will be Ryo. Ryo Uchiha, the future leader of the Uchiha clan. He was the best Uchiha of his generation. However, he has always been in second place right behind Orochimaru since second grade. He walked up, confidently towards the podium. In less than a second, he managed to cast Transformation Jutsu, imitating Arata flawlessly. Impressive. Next is Jiraiya. Come over here. Transformation Jutsu used to be a weak point from Jiraiya, but weirdly enough, now he approaches the podium with his head high full of confidence. Is he planning something? Arata gives him the sign to begin. Okay then, Transformation Jutsu. Boom. A cloud of smoke filled the room. After the smoke slowly disappears, a fair-skinned sexy woman with only a piece of bra and thong appeared. Ha ha ha, isn't it harem jutsu? I got caught off guard. Akaban burst out laughing. Holy shit, Jiraiya is genius, this must be his ultimate jutsu, said his other classmates. There was an instant outburst of laughter in the class. Nobody couldn't imagine that such an awesome jutsu was performed in front of a kid's eyes. What are you doing, idiot? Arata suffered the most blows with him being the closest to Jiraiya jutsu. He scolded Jiraiya as he tried to cover his nosebleed. Even someone his caliber couldn't predict such a thing. Come down here, Jiraiya. I'll give you an extra lesson, said Arata with a sarcastic tone. Humph, it seems you are improving, creating a jutsu from a fiction book, not bad. Orochimaru put a fair word for Jiraiya, who seems not affected by the jutsu's charm. Sorry sensei, my bad, ha ha ha. Whoosh. His jutsu was cancelled. Ha. That kind of jutsu is just for a kid. Ryo just mumbled with himself, but Jiraiya could hear him. You. Jiraiya looked at him in annoyance, but he knew that Ryo's jutsu was better than him. To be honest, Arata thought that Jiraiya's jutsu wasn't far from Ryo before. But that's just too much for this middle-aged man to handle. Ryo smirked. Offstage, Orochimaru licked his lips, his eyes fierce. He seems to enjoy the argument. Cough. Cough. Jiraiya, I'll punish you for making a review for today's lesson. Arata still couldn't keep his composure after that fatal blow. Yes, sensei. He glared at Ryo when he went down the podium. It seems there is a rivalry between the two of them. Okay, enough of it. Next is Akaban Kurama. Akaban walks toward the podium with confidence. Without further ado, he begins Transformation Jutsu. However, he chooses to become Ryo. With the same arrogance and the same look. Just like the real twin of Ryo. He tried to recreate some words that Ryo might say, ha ha ha. I am Uchiha Ryo, the strongest ninja here, ha ha ha, of course, just a little lower than Orochimaru. Akaban. You bastard. Ryo rises from his table with anger, but for a moment, he was speechless again. Because Akaban had become almost identical with him, and he couldn't deny that he had thought of something like that before. Sensei, how does my transformation jutsu compare to him? Akaban pointed at Ryo. Well done Akaban, I'll give you a perfect score. He knew from before that Akaban already understood transformation jutsu better than any other student in his class. Ryo was speechless. He needs to suck up his pride for now. A piece of advice for you, next time, don't underestimate anyone too soon. They might be better than you thought. And Ryo's anger that was about to subside became like an active volcano when he heard Akaban's sneering voice. Ha! I admit your capability, but we, Uchiha clan have more to offer at the real battle. Another Uchiha tried to defend his clan's pride. Your genjutsu is useless against our Sharingan. I'll prove it to you at the exhibition exam tomorrow. Ryo is still as ignorant as before. Fair enough, I'll be looking forward to it. Akaban replied to their taunt. It seems now there is bad blood between Akaban and Uchiha students. It will be a piece of cake to beat him. Just you watch Akaban. Roy consoled himself in his mind. On the other hand, Akaban didn't think about it. Even if he might fight against someone from the Uchiha clan, they are still only a kid and haven't awakened their Sharingan yet. Thanks, Akaban. Jiraiya thanks Akaban for standing up for him. He knew he was not as strong as Ryo yet to defend himself. It's fine. We still got room to grow. You might be the strongest ninja in the future. In fact, I really liked your jutsu before. Hey, Jiraiya, teach me that jutsu another time, okay? Said one of his classmates. Ha ha ha, I knew it was a masterpiece. Line up, I will teach those who want to learn it. Jiraiya's mood became happy again when he saw how eager his classmates were to learn his new jutsu. Akaban knew that Jiraiya would be one of the 3 legendary ninjas in the future, so he didn't mind helping him. Akaban's table that was destroyed by Tsunad's punch earlier hasn't been replaced yet, so he simply leaned back in his chair and crossed his legs to watch the others taking their test. At the same time, he flipped through his system panel. System. Point, 94. Yes, almost there. The Shadow Clone Jutsu is getting closer within his reach. This B-class ninjutsu is versatile in any condition, and he wants it as soon as possible. Of course. Even without Shadow Clone Jutsu, he still could manage to beat Ryo. But with Shadow Clone Jutsu, he could open more windows to teach Ryo and his ego some respect. Hokage's building. Akaban has awakened the control of 5 senses. Yes, Hokage-sama, not only that, but Kurama Akaban showed superb chakra control in the transformation jutsu, and from what I heard from Kurama clan, his mental power is at the level of Chunin. A string of information leaped out of the Anbu's member's mouth, and the third Hokage smoking motion faltered slightly at the words home, already at the level of Chunin. He might be a new genjutsu genius at this era. Hiruzen thought, asked, what does the Kurama clan do after knowing about this? The Anbu answered in a confused tone. Well, they fulfilled Akaban's request of printing his comics and distributed it among their clan members. I see, thank you, you may leave now. He motions him to leave his room. He used his telescope jutsu to look at what Akaban was doing right now. He sits alone in the garden with his pen and board, he seems drawing again. Hiruzen frowned slightly. Since when did he become this hard-working? With Arata as his class teacher giving him daily reports, he knew about Akaban's nature more or less. Not a lazy student but also not a hard worker either. does that mean? Not far away from Akaban, there is another him lazily sleeping on the grass. The third Hokage couldn't stop laughing. It seems true that someone's nature might never change. But he was slightly in awe. Shadow clone jutsu, ha! At such a young age, he had already mastered B-grade ninjutsu and awakened the best gift from his clan. Ha ha ha, I couldn't deny his talent. His opinion of Akaban grew slightly, but that was why he had an even bigger concern. Suddenly, a voice came from outside the door. Hiruzen, give me Akaban to be trained on Anbu Root Division, we could use someone like him. No, Akaban can't go to the Anbu Root Division. The third Hokage said decisively, moreover, the Kurama clan is at their weakest states right now, there is no way they will allow him to go, and he is still a kid that needs to be trained. I'll take Orochimaru then. The third Hokage must have heard something about me after the exam. And knowing his character, it seems he is going to monitor me for a while. Akaban lay on the grass as he was secretly thinking. After his outstanding achievement from the exam, no one will doubt his capability anymore. Even so, Akaban didn't think or plan that he could become a Sannin. Being on the list of the third Hokage's team would still be hard for him, even if he wants it so badly. There should already be the names of Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru, just like in the anime. Moreover, Hiruzen may not prefer a genjutsu user like him. It's almost impossible to become an apprentice of the third Hokage. But as he thinks again, he realizes being a Sannin is very tiring. He is not interested in standing on the top of the ninja world, but this world is as harsh as his original world. He wants to have the strength to survive in this world, so Akaban still hopes to have a decent mentor. Hey! How many pages have you been drawn? 1/3, if you want it to finish faster you should have drawn it yourself instead of complaining. His clone angrily replied. No, keep up your good work. Akaban has been working hard before he acquired Shadow Clone Jutsu. Now that it has been learned, he will use it to the full extent. Damn, you need to summon another one. This is too much for me alone. The clone cursed but continued to draw. It seems it is too much for a clone to do all his work. Nah, I'm sorry I didn't have any chakra left, I might pass out if I summon another one. Akaban said lightly. After exchanging 2 points with mental power, he already has 50 points.